So on this last part, this is the very last thing we're gonna do before we save and turn in, is we're gonna adjust a few things on our postcard. So this little, this beach photograph, we're gonna select the move tool, select beach, and we're gonna adjust it slightly so that it's in the center, somewhere here. And then the flower at the bottom, which is flower 2, we're going to select that and move flower 2 so that only one flower is visible right here. If you're having issues with moving things and other things are getting selected, then up here, so when you have your move tool selected, there's an auto select button that you can click. So when you try to move, let's say if you want to move the flower, and if you click on the photograph, it doesn't accidentally move the photograph. Now if I do auto select, if I click that photograph, it moves to that layer so that you can adjust it. So that's up to you. If it's getting in the way, then you can uncheck the auto select up here. So I went ahead and moved my things around, my photograph and this bottom flower. Now we're going to add a border for the postcard so that it looks more like a postcard. So to do that, you're going to choose select up here. Or actually, before we do that, we need to add a new layer. So go to your top layer, which is the Island Paradise. Click on the plus. That way you have a new layer. And now let's click select all, or Command A is the shortcut. And that selects everything inside, or it just selects the whole canvas is what it does. And then let's do select, modify, and then border. And that's gonna ask you how wide or how much do you want to add, how many pixels do you want to add for your border. For this, we're going to do 10 pixels. And then click OK. And you'll notice that your selection now moves 10 pixels. And then we're gonna select white for our foreground color, so it's right here. And I already see that there's a white on the back, so I'm just gonna flip it so that it becomes my foreground color. And then we're going to fill on that layer 1. So we have a selection on the border right here that's 10 pixels wide on all around. So when we go to edit and then fill, which is right here, it's going to fill only what is selected. So if we do that, this little box pops up. And we want to make sure that we have the right things on. So let's make sure that I have all the settings correct. Content aware, that's fine. Click OK. Oh, okay. Let's try it again. See what we need to do differently. Oh, that's why. Okay. So content, foreground color. Click OK. There it is. So let me Command Z. Let me undo that again. So edit, fill. So the mistake I made was I was on content aware, and what that does, if you notice, if you remember from previous chapters, content aware fill, what that does is it takes the image around it, and based on the image near it, it'll fill it and kind of fill in the gaps. It's kind of not enough pixels for it to, it's kind of like using context clues to fill the space. So switch it to foreground color and then click OK, and now you'll see, if you Command D to deselect, you'll see it added a nice border around. and we need a name. So this is the border it added. Need to double click, name it border. Because remember, we're naming every single layer. See, all my layers are named. And now the last thing is we're going to save. So Command S to save. And we're gonna get this ready to export as a JPEG. So to do that, first we're going to do, let me see where it's at. We want to flatten our layers first, and I'm just trying to see where it's at. So flatten image should be, oh, there it is. Okay, let me undo. Okay, so we want to condense all of these layers into one layer. So to do that, you're going to click on your very top layer, which should be the border. You're going to right click and find where it says flatten image. And before you do this, make sure you save the PSD. So all my layers are here. File, save, or Command S, or not save as, we already have a file saved. It's grayed out because I just saved, but Command S to save, because we don't want to flatten this and save the Photoshop document. We want the Photoshop document to still have all of these layers just in case. But because we're going to export this as a JPEG, we want to flatten it to kind of condense everything and try to get the file size as small as we can. So right click on border, flatten image, and now everything is on one layer. So now we're going to go to File, Export, Export As. That's a shortcut. It's a very long shortcut. I'm not going to memorize that, so don't even bother. So export as, and then make sure your format is on JPEG. Your quality should be fair, or if you have an updated version, just put it somewhere in the middle. You notice, so if you can keep it under 100 kilobytes, that'd be great. Everything else stays the same, and then click export. And make sure you save it to the correct folder, which for me is my digital media. Make sure you put your initials and the name of the assignment. Click save. And now if I go to my folder, it should be digital media. It is right there. That's the JPEG that you're going to turn in. And that's it.